Good evening, everyone. My name is Aida Farhat. Welcome to Conscious Heart Solutions. Tonight, I have my guest, Shem. Is that correct? Am I introducing you properly? Okay.
That's
I know that I don't have it pulled up, and I know that there's more than, yeah. So I'm going to share a bio of Shane's that he forwarded to me, and then I'm going to open up and allow you to elaborate more about who you are and the work that you do, so that the listeners and or future potential listeners may want to send questions to you or have any kind of something they want to share with you, information they want to share, because I think what you're going to be sharing with everybody tonight, guys, by the way, I have a terrible cold right now, so I'm kind of a little off. Just bear with me. But yeah, this is going to be a great show. Yeah. So Shane will be sharing fascinating and intriguing information which raises questions to the formula and methodology to which he brings forth the knowledge and wisdom he has gained to share with all of us. Between the ages of 8 and 9 years old, from 1982 through 1983, Shane underwent a series of contact events with an unknown source that can be best described as an interdimensional intelligence emanating from the direction of Lyra constellation. It is these events, to a large degree, that has propelled his supernatural knowledge base, preparing him for his dharmic purpose in the physical arenas. This is a written statement from Shane, and I quote, "The secret of the metaphysical, that which underscores the math, myth, and metaphor at the base level of the atom, that which reveals the design of our solar system, our galaxy, our universe, and the multiverse beyond, affirms the reason of my being." That's a pretty loaded and powerful statement. So we'll go back to that.
Yeah, we will.
Through the medium of science, Shane has discovered enlightenment in the sacred divine world of the spiritual. Through a medium of non-material and mystical, he has discovered the intangible, the abstract, and paranormal in science itself. By combination of fusion and through a careful coalescence that uses this philosophical approach, Shane has composed a metaphysical theory of creation that defines how existence came to be and how it coursed through time and space and schemed, arranged, transfigured, and customized so that its database information can be accessed by the will and intention of the consciousness. Excuse me. All this being said, the pre-existing metaphysical instruments of tarot, astrology, Kabbalah must skillfully and artistically be better defined so that these topics can and again experience, excuse me, let me reread that. Okay, so all this being said, the pre-existing metaphysical instruments of tarot, astrology, and Kabbalah must skillfully and artistically be better defined so that these topics can again experience a much needed renaissance, a revival, and renewed interest from a place deep within the psyche. Shane could not have attempted doing this without having been tutored by the many ancient mythologies, by the world's historical religions, and by those profound megalithic seers of the past who inspired his curiosity. Nor could he have proceeded with the insight of the more modern science such as cosmology, quantum mechanics, and astrotheology. Shane's life's education has truly been holistic in scope, preparing him to become an eventual author and teacher. It is in his service that he will continue to propel forward. Thank you, Shane. Thank you.
Ida.
Welcome to
Yeah.
Conscious Heart Solutions.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Thank you. Of course. Yeah.
So that's a whole lot and absolutely fascinating. I mean, all you got to use is the word mystical, and my ears perk up. So,
Yeah.
along with all the other exciting, yummy words that you use to describe what you be, please elaborate and share with us more about who you are and what's where you come from, a little bit more of your background, and then we'll
Sure.
move into your presentation.
Yeah. Um, well, first of all, I would like to say that I'm here in service, as many of us are. Um, and I dedicate my existence, my life, and my conscious perception to the beauty, to the algorithmic story that presides in love. And I have not had an easy journey. I was born in Aspen, Colorado in 1974. It was a little mountain town. My mother and father were quote unquote hippies and met there in Aspen. My mom was born in Aspen. My father was actually born in Boston, Massachusetts. And yeah, I was born basically at 8,000 feet in elevation. As a little boy, as I spoke or actually as I wrote, and you were, when you were reading my introduction that I helped formulate with you, the summer of 1982 and the summer of 1983, very close to Aspen, where we were living at the time. I started to have a series of contact events, and they're not like the contact events that you kind of hear about, like if you watch Ancient Aliens on the History Channel or the different um, uh, abduction stories that you might hear of out there. Um, this intelligence, this consciousness, and it was intelligent, it came from the atomic realm. It came from the very small. And what was I remember the first couple times that it happened, I would start to have a very strange feeling. And then all of a sudden I would see what appeared like a little silver sphere. Or if you even think of like the full moon, like this round circle, and then like kind of like the crater circles in the circle, but like maybe glowing a little bit, but also um, transparent to a certain degree, but very small. And then I would see it, and it would it basically let me know that it was intelligent. And next, what would happen is like um, I started having this strange feeling of time and space, um, where I would be looking at my foot, and I would feel as though I was 1 inch away from my toes, and I would see my toe and feel the mass of my foot as if it was um, like the mass of our sun. You know, it was just I was so close to it and feeling it, and then all of a sudden, it would like a rubber band. It would snap me back, and I would all of a sudden my foot would appear as though it was millions and millions of miles away, and I was looking at it from this long corridor, and it lost all its mass, and then I would feel much lighter. So basically, what this sphere was doing was um, it was warping time and space in a strange way, and maybe kind of showing me what was possible. It wasn't that there was any type of like verbal um, interaction going on where certain things were said. But that basically, those series of events that happened between 1982 and 1983 really altered um, my consciousness, altered my perception of reality, and it would obviously come more into use later on in my life. yeah, so basically it was probably between the years of 2010 and 2012 that I really started to have, um, I had a kind of, I started to awaken to my Dharma, and I started to awaken to my purpose on more of a spiritual level. And I obviously started questioning the outer world and the way that things are um, on this planet. And so, and then I started looking back and thinking, wow, what I went through when I was a little boy kind of prepared me for this. So actually at that time, between like 2010 and 2012, I still have the notes. There's probably about 5,000 pages of notes. At that time, I was afforded the ability to basically be at home every day. And I just was taking in information and writing notes about everything, every subject you could imagine. And yeah, and then obviously at that same time, I was coming out of a, a deep depression that I had been in actually since about 2006. And um, I had, in some ways, kind of given up on myself and on um, what what we all call a life, and so that was also part of the awakening, was that I again felt like I had reason, um, and I wanted to change not just my life, but I wanted to help change the very fabric of existence itself. It's obviously a daunting task, but yeah. So I began to awake, come out of my depression. Um, I went to Lake Powell for about 4 years as part of a work agreement, which was really good for me. Then I later would come to Sedona in the late fall of 2017 and really started to grow even more. And I've, been growing ever since. So that's kind of a story of how I got here, as far as from the contact events as a little boy to now. And
Real quick, I mean, first off, Colorado and Sedona, most of us know that that's those are two hot spots for a lot of phenomena,
yeah,
which, I think is very interesting. And it's pretty fascinating what you just shared. And then, of course, the thing with the big toe, I think it was Campbell. Was it somebody Campbell that he wrote My Big Toe? I don't know if you know that about that, but I think his last name was Campbell. I used to listen to him years ago when I first woke up, but
yeah,
he wrote a book called My Big Toe. Something you might want to check it out, because he's talking about consciousness and
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
that yesterday, Shane and I had connected just to get acquainted, a little better acquainted before the show this evening. And when you mentioned that, I meant to tell you that yesterday. I had, but I was so enthralled in everything that you were sharing with me. It was pretty. So
sure.
okay, so that's a little bit of your background. And so your parents were hippies. Do you have siblings?
I have a sister. Her name is Tara.
Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful. That's a lovely name. Yeah. And so is this would you maybe can or do you think that maybe like your family, you hold a certain bloodline that you would be, I don't like to use the word targeted in every situation, although there are a lot of cases that people are targeted. I know that we are and some would suggest that we're followed through our ancestry for many lifetimes and also generations. When you hold certain spiritual gifts, they, you're here for something special, which is obviously you've come in alignment with it. And so do you think that like were your parent, what I'm trying to ask you is was your parents, do you know if your parents had any type of maybe abductions or contact or anything, or your sister? Has anybody else in your family ever mentioned aunts, uncles about having contact
Um, my father,
or
was
military involvement?
yeah,
Also, yeah.
my father was um, in Cambridge, Massachusetts, basically Boston, Massachusetts area when he was in college. Was basically a guru for all the LSD 40 experiments that were going on.
Oh,
So he was yeah he was doing that kind of stuff, and then that might have provoked me in a certain way, in a strange way.
mhm.
My mom, when she was younger, was she loved to write, and I think she was spiritual in a very earthy way. She loved animals and this or that. But yeah, and speaking of bloodlines, my great grandmother on my father's side um, ran one of the only orphanages during World War II in Jerusalem, um, for
Wow.
the children that lost their parents to all the genocide that was happening, etc.
Oh,
My mom's side has Cree Indian. Like my mom's father was like 70%. Um, there's Irish, Russian, uh, German, English. So a beautiful mix of different cultural
oh.
backgrounds. Yeah,
Well, that's interesting you say that because I'm half Palestinian, Irish, Scottish, Flemish. Flemish isn't even a thing anymore, but it was at one time, long time ago. And are you familiar with Flemish, the Flemish people? Have you heard of Flemish
no,
before? Oh, okay.
no,
No, you were shaking. Yes, that's how I was, because I was going to say, yeah. Um, so, but yeah, we've all got quite a mix. I mean, you know, pretty interesting and intriguing bloodlines.
yes, we all
Yeah,
do.
I
Yeah,
don't think anybody is exempt from that. But
no,
what sticks out to me more than anything is the Indian in you. I have Cherokee, but very little. My mother said, "All right, if you're stuck with a pin, that's how much Cherokee Indian you have." But I still believe that the gifts are passed along, whether
sure.
the spirits are get. Yeah. So, but so you said what type of Indian? You said what tribe?
Cree,
Cree.
CREE.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Fascinating. That's
yeah,
pretty awesome. Have you done any research on your that aspect of your history?
a little bit. Yeah,
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 that'd probably be yeah. So definitely that's well, and then I mean your grandmother. Well, what an amazing woman to. That's a heck of a task to take on of working with orphaned children and making sure that they're taken care of. I mean,
yeah.
it's heartbreaking the stuff. Well, even now, like, and I'll just say, I'm not speaking for the whole world, but it's just so easy for us to look from afar and see what's going on in all these different countries, right, Shane? And then kind of have this disconnect, right? But when you have some real empathy and compassion for other living souls, it can be very heartbreaking. And I do know that I don't know if you're um familiar with ugh, my mind's going blank, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, maybe it'll come to me. But there's a gentleman that I can't think of his name, and I say it all the time. Andrew Bardis. Are you
Oh,
familiar? Okay. Yeah. Are you familiar with him?
no, no.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll send you some videos, and if you choose to have a look, great. If not, that's okay too. But he's worth looking into. The guy's he's called the Galactic Historian, and basically, he talks about womb chakras on this planet and other planetary systems, where the other planetary systems, if I what I remember correctly of his teachings or lectures, is they, some would have two or three, maybe four tops, but our planet or Mother Earth has over 200. So big difference from three or four on other planetary systems to 200 for Mother Earth. And womb chakras are like energy vortexes, where our this planet, disperses energy. And so when there's war on top of these what's called these womb chakras, or a lot of death and war or atrocities going on, children, that kind of thing, it prevents the energy from being able to come up and surface and to awaken the top population of that area.
Sure.
My point, yeah. So it just made me think of a few things of, when you mentioned your grandmother and so forth. I know I kind of get sidetracked sometimes, but
No, it's
my
okay.
mind just seems to go in different places. But so is there more you would like to share about so these fears, sorry, uh no, let me just, yeah, sorry about that, that was my cousin. um there, these fears that you're referring to, can you share more about, like, what do you were being communicated with them? Like, is there more that you want to elaborate about? I've experienced that. I've had, orbs, and I've seen them in my home before and so forth. But, when you're able to communicate with them, like what you were sharing, I think, I would love to hear more about that.
It was
Yeah.
just it was very traumatic in ways too. I remember I was having to stay home from school. My mom said I would describe them as little pyramids, but I was the sphere would shoot through me sometimes. It was I don't know. It was an interplay that was going on a subconscious or unconscious level. In other words, I was conscious, but we weren't talking, but they were definitely communicating something to me, and I was taking it in a different way. Like we have to think of this now. If you truly meet something that's alien, that means that the encounter has never happened. And if you have an encounter with something that has never happened, like an intelligent being, there's no way you can't have a conversation. So there was no way that there was going to be a conversation. This is
But like telepathy or
no, just I think that there was downloads that occurred
okay.
in a way, right? Because it would shoot through me. There's different things that would happen, and then, like I said, the time and space, it would like a rubber band. It would take me in very close, like even to things like on the ceiling, where I was like looking at the very detailed structure of the ceiling in my room, and then in a split second, I, it felt like I was so far away from it, and appeared like I was, that I would have to travel light years to get to that low point on the ceiling. So they were showing me that time and space is so much more malleable than we can even realize. It's not like we think, we have this illusion, of of a depth that goes on forever, but it's not necessarily like that. Like, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We'll get to that more after I start to present us a few things, but yeah, just
You said a death that goes
almost
on?
like quantum entanglement. The quantum entanglement is this realization that quantum physicists have ascertained and basically discovered that, like electron pair, or it doesn't matter how far they are away from one another, if they're quantumly entangled, which most of them are. If something happens with one of them, then instantaneously the other quantum particle
is
we left
affected by.
the same,
Yeah.
yeah, affected. So
Yeah. Well,
it-
that's interesting you say that because we're so when I say we, and I'm saying, so let me just be clear so everybody, anybody that watches this or is watching now, I'm saying generally, human beings, and I'm not assuming how people think, but I would say that, we're taught or conditioned or from our own self awareness, lack of awareness, everything is connected, right, Shane? So if I do something, it can very easily have an impression on you or others
Sure.
because we're all connected. That's why I think it's so important, and I'll speak for myself, all of us, that we need to be really conscious and aware of the things that we say, our thoughts, our actions, our deeds. I love that you said you've moved into your dharma. That's huge to be able to, as a soul, to be able to progress in that way and know that you're working in your dharma now. That's beautiful. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
So you said at a quantum level, things get entangled, they affect each other, and so
well, I'm just saying that with the contact events us happen with this, what I would call a sphere, uh, or multiple spheres, for that
well, it
matter.
was evidently it was this consciousness,
But
right?
it just like I said, there was this warping of space in a way that is so bizarre. It's really hard to explain. Like I said, if you can imagine, like, hovering, looking and feeling your foot, if for example, and being so close to it, but feeling the mass of it too, and that the mass, in a certain respect, can be almost feel like it's infinite. But then if you but then like maybe a split second later, being snapped away so far to the point where you your your foot feels like there's no mass anymore, and that you're so far away that um it's inconsequential. Like, you're looking at your foot from uh, millions of miles away in this tunnel that goes on and on and on forever. But the fact that this could happen in a split second, back and forth. And at the time, like I said, be having really high fever, so this was actually affecting me physically. Um, but it's not necessarily a story that you would make the headline news, because I don't have a detailed message from them saying we're from this place, or da, da, da. And I would be dishonest if I did. And one thing I would want to say is that I really believe in honesty. I really believe in that everything that I'm going to share in this presentation with everybody is um, to the best of my knowledge, and that's a spiritual knowledge that goes very deep. I'm being as honest and sincere as I can possibly be, and and then if we're on that level with each other, every one of us on this planet,
I'm
we're in good.
very excited about this presentation. We can begin you're welcome to begin your presentation when, I know that we had
Yeah,
mentioned, because if you're dealing with 6 or 7 different slides, then maybe
yeah,
you'll speak to each one, and we're going to need a little time for that. So maybe it is best that we just go ahead
yeah.
and move forward in it. Yeah.
So first,
And
let me start by offering the listeners a completely new perspective on what's going on here. I know, we've all heard that, many believe that they came here from out there somewhere, and that maybe they've had past lives, and this, and these different kind of um, old spiritual paradigms, and even in some cases religious paradigms, because the rapture is actually a Christian belief that goes back 2,000 years, and the rapture, for all intents and purposes, is the ascension. or is an ascension type of scenario. My proposal to humanity is just that, it's a proposal. But the beautiful thing about it is it's unique. And it's possibly something that we've never actually thought of or contemplated on a really deep level. And that is that we're just beginning. And that the earth itself is the seed. So if you think of a shell, a seed, but with a shell on the outside, and then inside there's a kernel. That kernel is the earth. And that kernel has 12 layers. The 13th layer obviously would be the shell. And everything contained within that seed, inside the shell, is the universe. And basically where we're at now, I would propose, is that we are just now breaking through the kernel part that's happening inside the shell. And that basically our journey of becoming, our journey of consciousness, the journey that consciousness takes, is just beginning. Now, many people would say, well, I've existed forever, or my consciousness is existed forever. And that is understandable. It depends on how we define space and time. But anyways, we're just beginning, and we basically, the beginning of the journey is through the first 12 layers of the seed, of the kernel inside the seed, I should say. And so that's where we can kind of start here with the building, with the me communicating kind of how it all began and the structure of the universe itself. So first of all, I have to share the screen here. So let's see.
Please do.
Oh, so if I hit screen.
Katie, are you there, Katie?
I got it.
Step away. I'm not too. Okay, maybe. Okay, there we go.
Okay, can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, first of all, before we get here, look, this is today's view of this is using stellarium, and this is the view of the cosmos here. And then you see here that these are the 3 great pyramids of Giza. These are the smaller 3 pyramids here. Mm-hmm. And what's so beautiful about today is, look at this. Here's Mars just below the horizon. Here's the sun. Here's Venus. Here's Mercury, Saturn, what's almost a new moon, and Jupiter. Those are actually all 7 of this the visible planets in our solar system that you can see with the naked eye. And look at this, the Christmas comets right here too. So
that's pretty amazing.
Called
wow.
2181 Leonard.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting because we're going to get back to this 7 here. But anyways, the 3 is is very important. So obviously, if there's 12 layers, right, then those 12 layers are subdivided into 4 groups of 3. And that's how we get, like, we think of earth, the element of earth, the element of fire, the element of water, and the element of air. Okay. So anyways, think of those 3 pyramids, and what you're seeing in those pyramids is the atom itself. Now, the term atom is ADAM. In Hebrew, basically means Adama, which means red earth, so of the earth. And the Christ said 2,000 years ago, in one of the great teaching, was that the physical comes first. From the physical, the spiritual soul is made manifest, and then that's the resurrection, and then the soul is resurrected, or becomes, a living being, the soul, the spirit, and then the journey continues. But so the atom, ATOM, is composed of a neutron, a proton, and an electron. And you can think of the proton as masculine or fire, and you can think of the feminine as water, blue, and as the electron. And then in the middle is the neutron. It's a neutral charge.
Mhm.
And these three building blocks basically created the substructure that we now know of as the universal hologram or the universe. So from there, what we do is the electron, the proton, and the neutron were put together in this way. Okay, so the neutron was the horizontal sheet here. The proton cut through it one way, and the electron cut through it this way. And what you have then is very interesting. If we count the sides going around the top part here, you can see here I numbered them. 1, 2, this side would be 3, the back side would be 4, 5, this would be 6, 7, the bottom part would be 8. You basically have 12 faces, okay? And then you would have 12 more faces on the bottom, this bottom part here. That's 24. Now, I think a lot of people think that we just arbitrarily came up with like 12 hours on a clock or 12 months in a year or 24 hours in a day. That's not the case. And if we look here, look at we have 12 pairs of ribs, so 24 ribs in all. And what's beautiful about this is that the sun, our heart, sits in the middle of the rib cage. And the apparent path of the sun actually travels through 12 constellations. So you can imagine the sun moving around these 12 sectors. So this is basically forms a cube. Everything in the universe is inside this cube. This is the seed I was talking about. But if we take a closer look at these 12 pairs of ribs here, so it's 12 on one side, 12 on the other for 24. You have what are called 7 true ribs, and those are the 7 visible planets that you can see with your naked eye in our solar system that I just showed you. Those are the 7 continents of Earth. Those are the 7 types of stars. Those are the 7 types of electromagnetic radiation. Those are the 7 scales in music. You can go on and on and on with the 7.
Well, we know 7 is a huge spiritual number, and 7, well, the 7, what was it like? Not the is it 7 chakras? My mind's going. I don't know why I'm having such a difficult time, but 7 chakras. We know there's more chakras, but those are the main 7. From the root down.
We're keeping things simple so the audience can understand how consciousness built the building blocks of its existence. So in other words, when I talk about the seed that has the shell around it and the kernel inside, we constructed that. Consciousness constructed it, and it constructed it with a plan. Anyways, so
well, Shane, real quick, do you think that? So you say this is the whole. We are inside that box. You know. Do you believe in a multiverse? Like,
sure,
not just our universe, but a multiverse. Like, there's, it's never ending.
Sure. Yeah. I'm just basically
I got
you. From the ground up here. So bear with me. So, okay. So these 7 true ribs are the 7 visible planets in our solar system. What I'm going to show is that, so it's one thing to see this and understand how the proton, the neutron, and the electron were fit together to create the very fabric of time and space. But then the fact is that the solar system and our very anatomy of the human structure took on the same form. So you have 24 ribs here, which are the 24 sectors I showed you, 12 on top here, 12 on bottom here. But you have 7 ribs that connect directly to the sternum. Okay, those are the 7 visible planets of the solar system. The sun, the moon, obviously, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Okay, now you have 3 what are called false ribs. Those are the 3 planets you can't see. Well, obviously you can't see the Earth because we're standing on it. And then you have Uranus and Neptune. Okay, with Uranus and Neptune, or if you want to pronounce it Uranus, you would need a telescope to see those planets. So there's 10 spheres there. And then there's 2 what are called floating ribs. And that's the duality itself. That's light and dark. That's male and female. That's water and fire. It's the polarity itself. And from this structure, the heart begins to build the building blocks around it. And you can see that from just where the heart is inside the body, it forms the 24 ribs. And then the 24 ribs end up creating the rest of creation. But anyways, let's go to the next slide here. So what I want to show here is now you're looking at just one part of the XYZ axis, which again, there's 24 planes going around on top, 24 planes going around at bottom. But look, there's 7 points of interaction in each one of these blocks. So if 7 times 4, because there's 4 sectors. These 4 sectors are earth, air, water, and fire. 7 times 4 is 28. That's why, basically a simplified lunar period is 28 days. This is an atom here. It has exactly 7 electron shells that go around it. And if you see here, there'd be 7, 14, 21, 28. So the 7 and the 28 is an interesting thing to think about as far as how the building blocks of matter begin to generate themselves into the universal structure that we are aware of now. And again, these 7 points of light represent, again, the 7 continents of the Earth.
Would you consider that to be like, I mean, if we even want to use the word Merkaba, the energy field?
This is the Merkaba. Yeah, this is the Merkaba. Basically what you're looking at here on this XYZ axis is the Star of David. But the Star of David it's a 2-dimensional 6-point star, but a 3-dimensional 8-point star. Everything that is in the universe is contained within that. Now, that structure, understand that structure, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So that's what this is really all about, is we're learning, we're going to learn about the structure of the universe from the very beginning foundations of time and space so that we can.
Well, I think that's a very exciting statement you just made. If you know the truth will set you free. I think a lot of people are looking for that, when we use that word truth, people have different ideas of, well, you may see something, I may see something, and we see we see it, you observe something and I observe it, because of our own awareness and consciousness, we're going to have a difference.
Sure. No, all I'm showing you is that I'm showing you that how everything adds up. Like, there's.
Well, it's perfect for sure. Anybody that knows it, and I'm nowhere near learned in astronomy or astrology, or this kind of, I get what you're saying, to really, understand how I can use that for my benefit, this information or this, to the point of
we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that. Yeah. Look,
because I get excited and I can jump ahead. So just,
you have to realize that okay, well, let's just continue here. So
Okay.
anyways, this is a diagram of the atom here. And again, as you can see, there's 7 possible electron shells, that the electrons around the atom, with the nucleus, and the nucleus is composed of the proton and the neutron. And you can see that this here is this here. Now let's go to the next slide. Okay, so, oh, well, that's interesting. Oh, right? Like I'm showing you all that, but most people don't know that the book of Genesis was written in Hebrew, and Hebrew is actually the Akashic alphabet of our DNA. So we basically have 22 autosomes, base pairs of chromosomes, and the 23rd chromosome just determines whether you're male or female. And anyway,
a lot of people know that that it was written in I mean, I think, or at
most
least
people
people
do,
that are in this.
but
Yeah.
this is the beginning. This is the beginning verse of the of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the Aleph Tav, the heavens and the earth, is basically how it's said. Or it's just often said, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It's exactly 7 words, 28 letters. It's not 6 words and 30 letters. It's not 7 words and 27 letters. It's 7 words, 28 letters. We're going back to this. We're going back to this. Okay.
So
it's heavy. And anyways, this in the middle here, this 4th word is the Aleph Tav. That Aleph Tav means the Alpha Omega. It means the beginning. It means the plan of creation. So in the beginning, the plan of
I love that. Aleph Tav. I'm going to remember that word. Am I saying that properly? Aleph Tav?
Aleph is Aleph, and that's the planet Uranus. That's the Fool. We're in the year of the Fool right now. That's like the beginning, the Alpha. And the
Tav, wow.
Saturn, and Tav is the planet Saturn, completion. The
oh boy, I could talk to you forever. You just opened a whole another.
Yeah.
Oh, Shane, you're amazing. Go ahead, please proceed.
So this is the standard. This is a simplified form of the standard theory of particle physics. And lo and behold, look what we find. And so, believe me, quantum physicists are not interested in religion. They're not interested really in spirituality, although some of them are kind of spiritual in a way. But they just do things by the number and by the fact of the matter. That's what scientists do. And we can use that to our benefit, because then we know we're getting at the truth of a deterministic, whether it's an idea. So it just so happens that there's 12 particles, these here, that generate matter. There's 4 force carriers. That, again, those 4 force carriers are earth, air, water, fire. That's why, paganism, it's so holy to think about those 4 different energies and how they interact with the 12 dimensions, the 12 zodiacs of our being. And then the 17th particle is the Higgs boson. And by the way, people don't realize this. Well, not many people realize this, I should say, especially in the spiritual community. The Higgs boson particle, the God particle, was discovered on July 4th, 2012. So, a lot of people, there was something that was such a big deal. But anyway,
July 4th, there's a particular, that July 4th, that date, and I didn't know about 2012, but I know.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. I heard maybe that's what I heard. Maybe this is what it was that date sticks out to me for, more than just July 4th. There's something with that.
Let's just keep going. So this is the simplified version. Now I want to bring up the more complex version, because every particle has an antiparticle. So in reality, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 24 quantum fields, particles that generate matter. Not 22, not 27, not 23, 24. And believe me, the quantum physicists that came up with this theory, they came up with the theory by scientific observation. It wasn't based on, well, this is what, you know, it should be because of X, Y, and Z, no pun intended. And you have 4 force carriers, and you can see here that the W boson, which is one the 4th force carrier, has its own polarity. But you have a total of 29 particles here. Now, did you know what it takes exactly 29 years for Saturn to go around the sun one time? Let's see if I have that here. I do. Perfect. So again, there's exactly 29 particles here. And if you count, what you're seeing on the left, everybody, this is the formation that Saturn makes as it goes around our sun. If you can see right here, it makes 2 curlicues here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anyways, if you go all the way around, this is the 28th. This is the 29th. It matches.
It's like a phone cord.
But do you understand now? This matches this. What's generating?
Yes, I get that now that you just pointed it out. Yeah.
So now we know that Saturn generates matter. It is
right.
For any conscious being that's moving through the 12 layers of its existence, ready to puncture through the outer shell of the seed and break through that shell. This information is so valuable to you because you can start to assimilate and understand what you need to use along the way and how to do it. And that's the only reason I wanted to show this stuff. Now we come back to this. This is ancient. This is an ancient Egyptian piece of artwork. And, yeah. And what they're showing you here is the 12 and the 13 again. So we have 4 physical planets. That's why we have 4 fingers on one hand. The 4 physical planets would be Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Mercury, Earth, Venus, Mars. You have 4 spiritual planets on the other hand, 4 fingers. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. You have a sun and a moon. That's 10. That's why you have 10 fingers. You have the polarity that we talked about with the ribs, two pairs of ribs that do not connect to anything are right here. And then 13th is finally breaking through the shell. But again,
so can I just say something to that?
Sure.
Well, there's some that would suggest that the moon is an artificial construct, and it's not really it back, 13. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands, or even that far back, 13, 14,000 years ago. It wasn't part of our. I don't know if that's the correct amount of years, but put it this way, there are some that suggest that it was brought here. It was not part of our natural solar system, that it was brought here, and it's been used as a way station for many things, one of which is, recycling souls and deciding who, is going to be brought back down into this reality in order to live another lifetime. I mean, there are many different people have different thoughts about the moon and its function and what it does in our solar system. I mean, even
everything.
Some would suggest that it's used for mind control.
Yeah, everything in creation is beautiful. So here's the thing that what's going on. So as we travel through, which we're going to get to, the 12 dimensions of our being, which ultimately, if you mirrored, is 24. Um, this is the polarity we just talked about. The proton and the electron, the light, the dark, the fire, the water, the contrasting elemental constructs that seem to be pitted against each other. You can keep that going as long as you want.
Well, I surely don't want to keep anything. I mean, I get
what
what
I'm saying.
that's not
Humanity.
that's not what I want to do. I'm just saying that there are so many. I mean, Shane, I appreciate what you're sharing, and we're only in the beginning of it. But I'm just trying to bring to your awareness, or at least I'm not trying to.
I am aware. I'm aware.
Yeah.
I'm aware of the people, what the stories out there.
Yeah.
You.
I mean.
Yeah. I mean, you could trust me. Mythologies are there's
Yeah.
the myriads of mythologies on all kinds of.
Yeah.
Again, I have a completely different view, or I'm asking humanity to at least entertain the possibility of a completely different perspective of what's going on here. And in that perspective that I'm offering, the evil and good thing is inconsequential. It's just the good versus evil thing is a construct of the mind. It really has nothing to do with anything, but really.
Okay, and I definitely appreciate that statement, but with all this stuff, and I'm not trying to interrupt your presentation here, but just to give you, I mean,
Yeah, no, I understand
people,
that.
With the child trafficking and
Sure.
all the horrid stuff that we have become aware of since the original, and some, of course, prior to 2012, but
Yeah.
we'll just say 2012. And some would suggest it was actually 2016, not 2012, that some anomalies, the actual awakening, like there different people have different ideas of the Mayan calendar and its accuracy, and as far as with the Mayan calendar from the Gregorian calendar, and how everything has been
Everything that happens in the hologram is like a dream. Once you crack through that final layer of the universe, everything that happened in the hologram was a dream. So I've had dreams before where this and that and this happened. I've had dreams where I stole vehicles. I would never in my right mind steal a vehicle. But you know what? When I wake up, it was a dream. So what happens in a dream is, yes, did it happen? Yes. But this is all, it seems real now, but once we break through that shell, which is the universe, and when we're free of the self-contained limitation that we're in, the cube of space, then we will realize that everything that happened inside the cube of space, the universe, was all an illusion. It was all just like a dream. So at that point, you realize.
I appreciate that. I've been able to go to that.
World War II happened. Adolf Hitler killed all these people. This happened, that happened. The United States dropped a bomb on Hiroshima and Japan and Nagasaki. All this stuff happened, but it's okay. It was all, and just like, I think sometimes what we're doing is we're holding on. The more real that we make things, the more density you add to the construct of matter. I don't know if people are aware of that. The more that things matter, the more matter that is generated. And the more matter that is generated, the more density is generated. In fact, you can create so much matter that, like you do in the Milky Way galaxy, the galaxy that our solar system is in, you create a supermassive black hole where not even light can escape it. There are galaxies out there that have no black holes in the middle of them at all. And they're so huge, you just look at them and they're just filled with light. You don't have to have the density, but is the more things matter, the more matter that you add to the density, or the more density that you add to the construct.
Well, can there be anything created without darkness? Can anything be created without the contrast of darkness with light? I
Well,
mean,
sure, yeah, that's these two polarities of dark and light are what feed the look. You can see they're pouring the polarity
well, that's what I'm saying. You can't
into the
create any. Yeah, no,
you
because you
know,
said there that there are galaxies that don't have any holes, or that
no,
they
that
just
they don't have
emanate light.
they don't have no they don't have there's galaxies that don't have supermassive black holes at the center of their
That's what I meant. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And that's because the construct of matter in that particular galaxy has figured it out. Let go. you you know yes, things matter. That's not to say that things don't matter. Like, of course they matter. You don't allow. If I see somebody take somebody's purse, a lady's purse, I will probably chase that person that took the purse. It's not like I'm going to say, oh, none of this matters, but we hold on to it to a certain point where the density begins to rule our life, and it rules our consciousness.
Well, we definitely we get attached to, I know from my own experiences. I mean, I went through, I mean, all of us, we've had our traumas and our conditioning, cultural conditioning, schools, religion, all this stuff that's constantly broadcasting to us how to think and how to process information. And we're unfortunately, so many, including myself, until you break free from the programming. I mean, and I don't know that we are ever fully broken free from programming, because we're constantly being bombarded with information unless you take the time to sit with yourself and get in touch and in tune with yourself, your soul, your source self, your soul self, so that you know what is yours and what's not yours, so that you're able to navigate your own universe, which is this body we call this physical, reality, this matter that you're speaking of.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people, and just from doing the very little that I do in interviews and people I've come across, and although I do a lot of things behind the scenes for sure, I mean, just in my everyday life, I don't need to broadcast what I do, but I have a great connection to humanity. I love humanity. I love people.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to connect with people, and um, so many have been traumatized, and we get attached to the story. I definitely have gotten attached to the story, and I've slowly, through the years of healing and spiritual development and emotional maturity, have been able to release little by little. I would love to be able to do it like that, all of it's gone, and not think about it, and not
Sure.
loop in my mind of these thoughts. And it's we want to make sense of things. I know I do. I mean, I'm a person. I'm a Leo sun and Aquarius moon and Aquarius rising, and I was born on a full moon in Aquarius. The day that I was born, it was a full moon in Aquarius. So I definitely believe those things. And I know you say, by the way, and hopefully you'll speak to that a little bit, or maybe in our next broadcast or show, but about how astrology is not read correctly, or is not. Didn't you say something like that to me yesterday, that it's not? Um, yeah.
Yeah. I could show that real quick, real easy too.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to, because I
Oh, it's okay.
again,
So,
I mean, Shane, I could just listen and have these discussions with you forever, because I love this kind of stuff. So, but yes, please do.
let's
Because,
just let's show this real quick.
okay.
Let me put. Okay, so you can see that these are basically the. Let me put the path, the ecliptic, so the apparent path of the sun. ecliptic of date there. Is it showing? Yeah, good. Okay, so let's get rid of the ground so I'm just going to remove the ground. So again, think of the heart, that your sun inside your rib cage, and
Mhm.
you have basically 12 pairs of ribs that surround your being. Aquarius here. This is the path the sun, goes through Aquarius, Pisces here, you see Aries here, Taurus here, Gemini here, right? Cancer here, Leo. Look at Virgo, how big a Virgo constellation is here.
Yeah.
But these are the zodiacs. I'm using when I use the term constellation, there shouldn't be any confusion. The zodiacs came from the constellations.
Sure.
Libra. Remember I was telling you about Ophiuchus and Scorpio? This is actually one constellation. This is the Thunderbird. If you look at the stars, let's remove the artwork here. If you just look at these two, it looks like this huge giant bird. Here's the wings, and then Scorpio actually makes up the tail, and it's known as the Thunderbird. The Native Americans called this constellation the Thunderbird. I'll put the artwork back in.
Well, is there any
Sagittarius.
So I have a question. Well, we know that the serpent and the bird are symbolically they talk about the serpent and the bird, and
this is the way the Greeks looked at the constellations, but that doesn't mean that the native, like the Cree Indians or the Cherokee or the Sioux of North America, that they viewed Ophiuchus and Scorpio to be two different constellations. They viewed this as one constellation. Here's the wings, here's the head, and then here's the body and the tail come down right here. So this is the Thunderbird, But I'm just, and then here's where the sun is right now, in the middle of Sagittarius. You see this? This is an astronomical program.
wow.
1/4/2022. That's today. Does Western astrology say it's in Capricorn right now?
Yes.
I think, yeah. So see now.
So what? So what is this one you're using?
This is Stellarium. All of them will say the same thing. This is stellarium.org. There's all kinds of free astronomical programs you can use. Look, Western astrology.
So why did they say that it's Capricorn when it's?
Because
help me understand that. That's
because they don't realize that they're going by Claudius Ptolemy's star charts that were created 2,000 years ago. Watch, I can put in the year 0. Look where the sun was. It's not the year 0 anymore. Claudius Ptolemy invented what's called Western astrology. Okay, he did it 2,000 years ago. He told everybody, you're going to have to change the star charts in just hundreds of years. That's why. So I'm not trying to create.
This is conflict. Very profound what you're sharing right now.
Look,
you realize?
Let me show you something else. Let's go to the year 14,000 in the future. The sun will be in Cancer on this day. Now you're going to tell me that on January 4th of the year 14,000, I'm going to look up and see the sun in the Cancer constellation, and somebody's going to tell me that the sun is in Capricorn, because that's the Western, what I'm trying to say.
That is so fascinating. I'm so right now, I don't even know what to think. Like, my mind is, I'm just thinking about the.
Yeah, so
if you want to use the word, the repercussions of the ignorance that so many of us, I mean, I'll speak from,
yeah, it's okay. Yeah. But that's what I'm trying to say. I'm
blown away right now. I totally am blown away.
Yeah, spirituality is very important, and science has importance too. And they don't have to be in conflict. And it's okay if we didn't know. But that's what I'm trying to say. Knowing this, just
I mean, all the tarot readers that are on, all the tarot readers that, I mean, I listen to tarot like people watch the daily news. My thing is tarot. I like to, and I'm just thinking, well, I mean, if we're not in Capricorn and we're actually in Sagittarius, is what you said,
Yeah.
right?
Now, yeah. But yeah, the sun is in Sagittarius. Yeah. Let's go to 2021 here.
So,
It's in the middle of it too, like right in the middle. And what these lines
yeah,
are along the ecliptic is this is the IAU, so the International Astronomical Union, basically put in these boundaries because in astronomy, when you name a star, you name the star after the constellation that it's in. So they put boundaries around each constellation so that any star that falls in that boundary is named after that constellation. So like this is Gamma Sagittarius. You know, Gamma is basically in Greek, it goes alpha, beta, gamma, delta. So it's the third letter in the Greek alphabet, also known as Gamel in Hebrew, and that's the high priestess, the knower of secrets. But I'm just saying, each seat.
wait a minute. You said Gamel means high priestess?
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, it's a third. Yeah, the third Greek letter represents the third Hebrew letter, Gamel, which is the moon, the high priestess. But I'm just saying, do you see that if you pick any one of these stars, this is U Sagittarius, or 46 Sagittarian. All of these different stars are going to be named after the constellation that they're in, the boundary.
I am so blown away right now, Shane. I'm kind of, you got me totally blown away with, I don't know what to think. Like my mind is just going in many directions with the whole thing. How off people, like, people that don't know, well, including myself, people that don't know this information and really think that we're operating from a different system that we're not. I mean, so basically it's just well, it definitely will throw you off, especially if you're dependent on, there's a lot of people that look to astrology and their birth charts and so forth and so on to get information to help navigate their life and make sense of, you know, moving into their dharma and so forth. And it totally, like, everything that you think you don't know.
Yeah,
Not you, meaning people.
well,
Like everything we thought we've known, we don't know. I mean,
that's
I'm
exactly.
totally.
So think about that. That's why. Um, I say what I say when I say that we're just beginning our journey in consciousness. You, then it makes sense.
That's pretty
We don't know as
amazing.
much as we think, and that includes me. I'll be the
Yeah.
first. It's all about discovery. I'm not, and it's
Oh,
not
I'm
a
definitely.
contest of,
I mean,
it's not a
yeah.
contest like who knows more or anything like that.
Right.
I love. We're all in this together because we'll run through the 12 layers of our being, the 12 dimensions, the 12 pairs of ribs around our heart. We'll run through the structure and understand that at the end of that how connected we are. Look at this. I want to show you this. And this particular star just came up for some reason. But what you're looking at here is this circle here is the path of the sun. Okay, you see it? This here is the galactic plane. This is the outer edge of our galaxy. See the clouds? What do they make?
Sure.
This is the Vesica Pisces. Not just
Sure.
almost there, it's perfect. It's perfect. Remember I told you, that we have the 10 planets, the 10 spheres, the 10 fingers that we have. Remember the Egyptian drawing this here?
Yeah.
And then you have the constructive polarity, the two pairs of ribs that don't connect to anything. And then and for the 12. But anyways, look at this. This is one of these circles here represents the electron, the water, the feminine, and the other circle represents the proton, the masculine, the fire. And together they make what is known as the Vesica Pisces, or the eye that you see, that allows you to see, but also that makes the figure 8. So this is an 8. And that's exactly how we move through the zodiac. We make a figure 8 pattern. So what we'll get into next is how we go around the zodiac 2 ways at the same time. In one way with fire, the proton part of the atom, the masculine, which is redshift, right? Light that's going out. So moving out, we would go Aries first, Taurus second, Gemini third. But for the electron, the feminine aspect, the water, we go within, we go inside. And that way we go around the zodiac, or the 12 pairs of ribs around our heart, starting with Pisces, next Aquarius, next Capricorn. And we go around one way, at the same time we go around the other way, and it makes this exact symbol that you're seeing in.
That's just amazing. That's amazing. I don't know. And I mean, you're just this basic understanding or understanding is pretty fascinating to me. I mean,
yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
we're just gaining the perspective, we're just now gaining these different perspectives. And that's why, if having that contact that I had between the ages of 8 and 9, that was the main. If I've taken anything from it at the very core level of my soul, I would say that if I believe in something so passionately, as I believe that really we are just beginning our journey, and that we have so much more to discover. And remember what the Christ said: you can't enter the kingdom of heaven until you become again like children.
Yeah.
We have to realize that we don't have to know all these different things to be great, or to be worthy. We're just starting.
That's beautiful what you just said, because so many, Shane, I think, because so many people, well, I had my awakening in 2011, although I do believe I came in awake. Growing up the family I did, and my conditioning and whatever, all the different stuff that influenced my decisions and how I felt about myself and my value and self-worth and whatever, all those things. I think people are so hungry for what is real and true, right?
Yes.
Because we are seeing nothing but all this nonsense that is being constantly broadcasted about being lied to by the government and the Vatican and the churches and all the stuff that, for years. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've gone down some pretty deep, dark rabbit holes for sure. And the biggest one was my own self, right? When I had to dive deep within my own self and really have a look at, why I tick the way I tick. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful. I like them.
Here we go. So I made this diagram a while back. This gives you a better idea. So again, one of these circles represents each of these 2 circles. They represent those 2 ribs in our rib cage that don't connect to anything. That this is our polarity. This is our fire and our water, our mass, or the proton and the electron of our atom, of our being. Where they converge here, this is the center of the galaxy. This is called the Golden Gate. And then where they converge here, this is anti-galactic center. This is like if you're leaving our galaxy, the antithesis of the center of our galaxy exists right here. And it's very beautiful to represent. So basically, we're going to say that we go around the zodiac, we go around the 12 dimensions of our being in one way, and then we go around it in the other way. So you want to take a break and
So
start?
can I ask you a question? So
Yeah.
how much, in your opinion, how much of the Bible or the story, because I know that yesterday when we spoke, you had mentioned that you do have a great deal of, you've put in a great deal of effort into studying the Sumerian texts and so forth. So I'm just curious to know what you think. I mean, you know, what was before the Bible and how, and one that, and also the story of Adam and Eve in the beginning um, really is a story about our galactic, uh, how we came into being, the beginning, what you share to be
Yeah,
how we have became matter, made
that's
manifest in this
sure.
reality.
Adam is the earth, and Eve is the moon, the spirit. And the moon had life on it before the earth did, and um, breathed life into the atom. So in the very beginning, it says, in the spirit of, and the spirit of the Elohim, or the spirit of God, how whatever that means to people, that's up to them, hovered over the dark waters, or the dark unfathomable plane of existence, which was the void. It was a void. And then the breath of life was breathed into the atom, and the atom, remember, the atom, atom, ADAM, is composed of
Yes.
the proton, the electron, and the neutron. The breath of life was breathed into the atom, and the atom became a living being. That's what stage we're at right now. You've become a living being. You understand the structure, the substructure that you're in, that you're within, and what you have to do next. And it's not a coincidence that the new Matrix movie just came out, and it came out in December 2021, the year of the universe, and it's called Resurrection. That finally we have to, to break through the Matrix, to break through the shell, the cube of space that keeps us confined. Well, that's the goal. That's the goal of consciousness. But we're just in the beginning stages.
Well, that's interesting. You know, I went and saw that Christmas Day by myself, The Matrix, and it was very easy to predict what was going to happen next. I will tell you, the best part of the movie for me, because I think it was poorly, as much as I like Keanu Reeves or whatever his name is, I think he's an amazing soul. And there's not many in Hollywood, I would say that, even though I have love and honor and respect for all life.
Yeah.
Um, uh, at the end, it said, and I don't want to ruin this for anybody that goes to see it, but it mentioned, being given a second chance. I'll just say that. And
Yeah.
yeah. And what does Genesis mean? Second life, second chance, second opportunity. I mean, some would suggest that we've done this 5, 6, 7 times. I don't know how many times. I mean, we've been wiped out and replenished many times. We keep repeating the same thing. Evidently, this time we've passed the go point, where we are going to go into a different direction for those that are choosing that. I don't know that everybody is choosing that, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know can't speak for other people. I know for myself, well, like you said, I surely don't think I know everything by far. I mean, I know very little, but I know a lot. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I will always be more comfortable knowing very little, because I am so hungry to learn and to discover and to explore and to co-create with you and others so that we can have this experience of heaven on earth and bliss and joy and abundance for everybody. And that life doesn't, people talk about, well, how do you learn if you don't have challenge? Yes, challenges are good, but we don't need to be challenged to the degree that we have for so many, our history is just continued to repeat itself, and famine and darkness and all this stuff. We don't have to learn that way anymore. I'll say for me, I don't need to learn through trauma and nonsense anymore. That I can learn and it have just as a profound effect on me and my development as a spiritual soul, as a spiritual being, that I choose to learn through loving engagements now, rather than conflict and jealousies and insecurities and judgments and so forth and so on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean,
the way,
I think we
haven't got there yet, but the key to breaking that, so the 13th layer of the shell, and cracking through that final barrier, and freeing ourselves, is done through the dimension of Gemini. And so in Tarot, Gemini is number 6, the lovers. And in that depiction, you're basically seeing Adam, the atom, and Eve, the spirit. They've combined as one, and they're holding hands. And behind them is the Garden of Eden in its pristine state. And the will of the creator of this universe, or creators. It is inconsequential whether plural or singular or whatever, but
I definitely believe in multiple creators for sure.
The will of the creative force of this universe states that you to break through that final layer, to break free of the matrix, the cube of space, humanity must first return this planet back to its state of beauty and purity and love and kindness and respect in all ways. In other words, return it to its state of as it was in the Garden of Eden. And then we are free. So
I'm so ready to do that.
That's a great knowledge. So in other words, you can't, it's not like the Phoenix.
So how do we get there, Shane? How do we get there? How do people begin to do that? Because that's what this show is called, Conscious Heart Solutions. And I'm really a person, I love to have discussions on solutions and how we can co-create and come together to be able to make it, a reality. I don't know that everybody is on board. Like, do I want to wait for everybody else to decide that what I value? Everybody else, we're people have different value systems and what they value.
Sure.
For sure, you value that. I definitely value it. We value having a, bringing this beautiful Mother Earth back to its pristine state of. She's always perfect, for sure. She's not,
But the challenge is for humanity, again, Adam and Eve, to coexist with her in utter purity and utter beauty, in utter respect. So what I'm saying is that the way there's two ways in and out of the cube of space. Let me show you a diagram here real quick. Let me find it. I was just looking actually at this.
Give us a whole lot to think about. I'm definitely going to be thinking deeply about that one. I'm wondering how quickly, not that to rush through anything, but I know I'm 53 years old and I intend to live a pretty long life, and I know that death is not a real thing because I've crossed over and come back. So I definitely know that our soul, at a soul level, we never die. I don't believe in death. I believe in transforming into different expressions of energy, if you will, but the soul is eternal. And but I would love to see in my lifetime, as long as I'm gifted in this, you know, um, body that I have here, that we're able to get closer to moving into the direction of returning Mother Earth back to her pristine. Although I, again, am a firm believer that she's always perfect in her divine, in her divinity. It's those of us, you know, are the children of Mother Earth that are on top of her, living, feeding, you know, pulling from her, that she's always gifting us what we need at every turn. And how do we get to the point where, you know, how many of us are have to be leaning in that direction of unifying and coming together to clean her up, and you know, creating technologies. There's technologies out there that we don't get to see, or at least not right now. Now some would suggest that those things are going to be more and more are going to be released to us, in order for us to, for our own well-being and health, and providing for the rest of, you know, those that are have more challenges than some of us. You know, I mean, that's my goal, is to get involved in humanitarian projects where I can serve, you know, however I can, to be of service and help. I want
Sure,
to. I mean, I
sure.
do it. Yeah. So, anyways, I could keep going. I know I'm kind of mumbling on, but I mean, you've stirred my heart big time, and I appreciate that, because it just inspires me and lights, you know, the fire in my own belly to get things going and doing something more. I mean,
It- if we can go through the zodiac, I think you might have your question might be answered as to how it's done, because
okay,
what is done through one person is done through all beings, and what is done through all beings can be done through one person. And that's the key here. When we begin traversing the 24 layers of our being, 12 dimensions, but those dimensions have mirrors, basically. um
you said
we can
mirrors.
Yeah, mirrors. I'm again back to that first. Yeah, just the fact that there's 12 zodiacal dimensions, or there's 12
Okay.
dimensions of our being, but you go around one way while simultaneously go around the other way. And so it's how the many become the one, and how the one becomes the many. And what the Christos taught was that through the power of one, you can actually change the whole reality for the whole. And that's the mystery here. So let's go through the zodiac, um, the way of fire, right? The way of the masculine, or the positive, the proton.
Okay.
Like red shift, light that goes outwards. So moving outwards. And you, in the first dimension you encounter in that way, is Aries. And that's the single point. That's the point of I exist. You exist. You're not sure. You're not sure if there's anything around you. It doesn't seem as though there's any time and space. There's other points of light. It's just you, and you exist. And you realize that you exist. And then that red shift, the light, the proton continues to move outwards into the second dimension of Taurus. And this is where you create the Taurus field. You really conceive of the polarity for the first time: male and female, light and dark, earth, or fire and water. And that polarity, that dualism, creates atmosphere. It creates climate, where you have jet streams that move water all around your globe, and hurricanes form and tornadoes form, and all these different things. The Taurus field is created. And then you continue your outward progression into the third dimension of Gemini, where you encounter others. You finally realize that you weren't the only dot in space, that there's other stars. There's myriads of other beings out there with you. And rightly said, in this outward progression, the third dimension of Gemini represents that. And that's where we encounter our first true, or this is where our first true encounter with the Garden of Eden happens. And then continuing outwards, redshift, the proton keeps pushing outwards into time and space, the fourth dimension of Cancer. And then it continues to push into the fifth dimension of Leo. And Leo is where we begin to discover our outer realm, the outer realm of our being, the personality of our being. And then we hit the sixth dimension of Virgo. This is where we start to recognize and discover what's inside us. So in Tarot, Virgo is the hermit. And the hermit takes the seed that's in the lantern to the middle of the earth and plants it there. Virgo is the dimension of the Mary, the being that conceives of the Christos, or of the Christ. But anyway, so the sixth dimension is where we discover what's inside us. And then the seventh dimension of Libra is next. And that's where we balance what's inside us and what's outside us. And this is where the heart and the feather are weighed. And the object is that not one of them outweighs the other, because this is the critical juncture in the outward expanse of the proton into creation, where that balance must be achieved. Because if it's not, in the eighth dimension of Scorpio, death and destruction will occur. But if there is balance, and the inside is balanced with the outside, the water with the fire, the positive proton is balanced with the negative electron, and the forces are equal and in harmony, then the death of Scorpio becomes the transformation of Scorpio and the freedom. And then the ninth dimension of Sagittarius, the protons continue to push outwards, from the kernel of the seed through the layers, closer and closer and closer to the outer shell. And it hits Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is the place of this great expansion, but also it's the place of the resurrection. This is where the resurrection happens. This is where the miracle happens. So the story of the Christ is that the whole miracle is the resurrection that happens after the subsequent death that happens in Scorpio. Pushing out to the 10th dimension of Capricorn, the protons getting closer and closer to the final limits of what's inside the shell. And Capricorn is where we reach the top of the summit, and we reach what's known as the gate of the gods. This is where the Christos, where each one of us has the opportunity to stand in front of the many and say, see, I have ascended, I have overcome. And it's often represented as the Mount of Transfiguration or the Mount of Ascension. And then the miracle 11th dimension of Aquarius, number 11. When we go up the mountain and reach the top of the mountain, we can't go any further. And this is where the 11th dimension of Aquarius comes in. The ultimate invention is what it's called. Ultimate invention. That which has never occurred to the human mind or the human heart. We must find that to continue our quest outwards. Remember, the proton is pushing outwards. Our hope is that we can do that. We can invent that which has never been conceived, so that we can continue our quest. And then finally, the 12th dimension of Pisces is reached, and a miracle happens. First of all, we realize that all along, what we did as one person just served the whole, because the two fish are connected. But if you look at a school of fish, it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. They dance and they move together. But that realization when we pushed out as the proton, as that masculine type of energy, which is done through action, we realized that what we were willing to do ourselves, we did for the whole collective. It's so beautiful.
Yes, that is. I'm Shane. I'm so excited about doing learning this, and you've truly done us all a great service, especially for those of us that didn't have the basics. You know, uh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing this information with us.
And then,
I'm so thankful right now.
should we go around the other way?
I mean, we sure can. We've got 12 minutes left. So just to let you know, I mean, I'm not rushing you. It's not, I just don't want to overdo it. Like, I want to be able to have you come back and we can do yeah. And I don't want people to get to, let them, because even though you've only gone through a few of your graphs, you haven't gone through all your graphs, I imagine. No, right?
Oh,
the graphs that you
the graphs are endless.
Okay, but I mean, for tonight's presentation, my point is
no, I only had,
I think it's 10. A lot to absorb, especially for new people that So I don't want to overdo it is my point. And I mean, I'm hungry for more. I hope others are.
Those 12 dimensions that are our 12 pairs of ribs that sit around our heart. Think of the heart as your soul. The soul is trying to break through the exterior confines of what restricts it. And what restricts it is your rib cage itself. It wants to break through. These are the 12 dimensions that we all have to break through. And believe me, when we put the 12 up on the clocks and we put the 12 months of the year, and I know there's some cultures that have 13-month calendars, and that's holy too. But it's to remind us of the great work, the great work ahead, and the mystical and magical opportunity in front of us.
And that's another. I mean, I'm just so fascinated with all of it, and so many different ideas that I can definitely come up with as topics for shows, and of course, the mystical part of this whole thing, because I know that people are realizing that living a spiritual life doesn't require going to church or a mosque or
no.
Yeah.
But neither should we.
Well, we know that, but a lot of people,
and neither should we judge, and neither should we judge those that are religious.
Well, that's correct. I definitely don't. Yeah.
All beautiful.
That's right. I agree. Yeah.
All matter.
But my point in saying that is, I mean, I've lived a pretty mystical life my whole life, and I've never really, I've looked at things from many different perspectives. I didn't buy into any one particular, religious teachings or dogma or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I think they all have their value, but I definitely rely on my own experiences in my relationship with the divine, that's not out there somewhere. It's within me and within all of us. And when we really get in touch with our own divinity, our own soul self, and we trust and take time to spend time with and nurture and harness and enjoy that we attract more people like you and like me, and people that come together and it's like having a piece of chocolate that tastes so good. You want, I want to be like, Shane, try this chocolate. It's so freaking good. You got to try it. And then, and you're like, wow, it tastes so good. It's lovely. Let me share it with, it's that aroma, that fragrance of love that really, touches everyone's life at some point or another. And we can have more moments of that when we come together and do presentations like this and working together in our communities, and being kind to our neighbors, and just simple ways of being doesn't my point in sharing all what I'm sharing right now to those that are listening or will be listening once it's published, is that we are all capable of doing something to bring something to the table. We all have value,
Yeah.
and I support anybody that is wanting, that has a creative idea or something that they want to share. You can contact me, send me a message on Messenger. We're getting to where we're going to have to close the show. Do you want to share some contact information? By the way, Shane, will you come back
Yeah.
again?
Yeah.
And okay, because very
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
People can
I'm
reach me
super
on
excited to do.
people can reach me on Facebook, yeah.
Yeah. So Shane's got a lot of fascinating. I mean, if you just go to his wall, his Facebook wall, and just go through. I mean, when I came across his information, I can't remember. We're a friend of a friend. I don't know. It might have been um oh my God, Linda McGillis, I think.
Oh, yeah.
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 And so it's been a long time. I mean, I came across your information, but the more I would see posts that you would make, the more I was being drawn into your information and what you were sharing. And I had, felt a resonance with it and just said, okay, this is, somebody I want to know for sure. Like I would love to be able to connect with um, and learn from. So thank you. Reach out to Shane on Facebook for all of you that may be interested in his work. He will definitely be coming back on for future shows. We will work that out the next date that you're available, and do a part 2. And we can, as long as we feel a connection to continue going with it, I am more than willing to do a series of videos with you, because I want to learn, and I imagine people that are going to be watching this are going to find it just as fascinating. And especially for those of us, like I said, for myself, I'm not that learned when it comes to astrology and astronomy, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm definitely willing to learn a new way of, or a new perspective and way of seeing what you're presenting. If it's going to be beneficial, and I want to learn. I mean, and we'll go from there. So people can reach you on Facebook. And I know that there's some maybe possible upcoming services that you might be offering at some point. I won't go there now, but I know that we had talked a little bit yesterday, and people could just reach out to you and see. Yeah. Is there any last things that you want to share with the audience before we close? And then maybe we can plan for something in 2 weeks if you're comfortable with that. Maybe come back. Yeah. That'll give some time to maybe come up with something, a little bit more, get things a little, prepare for it. So a little bit better.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I just, oh, that's fine. Yeah. No, I'm always ready. I don't really, nothing has to be planned on my end as much. I mean, I just, I've got different graphs, different things I've made through the years where I can kind of share, and people can put, what the opportunity here for people is that I'm hoping that it sparks certain things inside their psyche that helps them, because it was, well, the building
Well,
block.
I know that you're putting, so Shane's writing a book, and you do intend to be to create a structured, what's the word I want to use, a curriculum for people to be able to teach,
Exactly.
right?
After the book's done, because then it's going to be, I'll
Right.
go over the book.
So, and I want to say this for people that are listening, please be respectful and mindful of Shane's personal work. What he is sharing is information that he's gathered in his hard work and his own knowingness of his own connection. So let's just be mindful of his work and respectful, and understand that he has copyrights to his work, and we're just going to remember that, you know, uh, we all have a gift of creativity, and we can just be respectful of other intellectual property and so forth. So I just need
Yeah.
to say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Shane, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I will be in contact to set up the next date when we'll have you back, and it'll be in a couple weeks, and or sooner if you know, I do a show once a week, so we won't rush it. Let's just wait a couple weeks, and we'll have you come back on. And thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This has been definitely enlightening, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Ida, and Dr. Katie Kamara. I didn't hear from her, but yeah, appreciate both.
Is she there? Katie, are you there, Katie?
Thank you for everything that you know, you contribute. Remember, that's the whole thing right up here. Pisces and Aries, you know, what we do as individuals can change everything, and then what we do as the collective can change just one thing, that one major thing, also, all at the same time. So, you know, the one, and then when we go over it next time, when we go around the zodiac this way and we do the blue shift, the electron, we move inwards towards the kernel of the seed. We'll realize how collectively the power that we have, that we can change any one thing that exists in the universe, any one, you know, obstacle we can remove, anything. And that's, and the universe itself is an obstacle, and it's nothing to hold on to. There's nothing to hold on to, you know, because there's a mystery that lies beyond, and nobody knows about that mystery. Nobody.
Well, that's just been helpful, just hearing that. I mean, of course, you know, logically we say, okay, we don't need to hold on to things, we can let them go. And I'm somebody that lets, you know, I can let go of things. I don't stay angry long, except, well, usually I can, you know, get past things. Once I say how I feel about something, usually I'm done with it and I can forgive and, you know, keep moving forward. But there's been a couple things that have happened that have been real difficult for me to let go of. And especially from when I had my awakening. There was, you know, whether it was past life memories that I was having, or if it was a real thing that took place in this lifetime, I don't know. I mean, and that's another whole nother show, because I know that, you know, we had some discussion, so we can keep going. I'm not going to keep going, but definitely we will, maybe, you know, I'll have to remember to bring that up to you, and just hear your thoughts on that, because I think people would be fascinated to hear, you know, these new ways of new perspectives that may give some soften the blow, so to speak, for people to be able to really let go of things that we've been holding on to for a long time, and we can move more graciously into a new way of being, so that people live more joy-filled and abundant lives.
Beautiful.
Whatever that means to people. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to, exactly. It doesn't mean just one thing. Yeah, it can mean different things for
right.
all subsets
Different.
of
That's right. Yeah.
And
very
remember
good.
the key, the 11, you know, I know people with 1111 and 11, you know, the 11th dimension, Aquarius.
Yeah.
It's
well, I think
about invention, invent.
It's about, I'm sorry.
Invention, meaning bring forth something that's inside you that has never occurred to the outer world ever. That's in that there's a miracle that happens. That is what changes time and space. There's nothing else that can.
How do we figure out what that is? How do you know? How do you get to a point where you
ask the universe, ask creation to help you with it, you know?
Yeah.
Allow yourself to invent. It's tough because we've all read you read books and you get information here, there. You've been told this, but it's about you becoming, one with the universe, and
I
allow.
mean, I start, we talked about this a little bit. Yes, I have 200 book pages and a cover done of a book
Good,
called
good.
Little Sister Lost
Yeah,
Soul.
yeah.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is, I do intend to finish that at some point, but I haven't written for years because I, went through some struggles during the time I was writing. But so much has changed in my life, and I have such a different perspective on what was happening then, now, that the whole project would be rewritten. I mean, there'd be parts I'd keep, but not much, because what was supposed to be a spiritual memoir turned into an autobiography, more of an autobiography. And um, and I just have so many different. I'm ready to get back to my writing. I'm looking forward to the inspiration of writing. Being inspired to write again. Because I do much better writing than I do speaking. Although I think I'm pretty good. When I'm concentrated and I'm able to focus. Yeah.
Perfect. You're perfect. Yeah, you're perfect. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're awesome. I appreciate you. Thank
Yeah,
you, Shane.
no, no,
Well,
yeah,
you're
absolutely.
a delight, and I'm so yeah.
Yeah. Uh, there's no one way to do this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And by the
Okay.
way, when I said controlling time and space, you see the water coming out of the jug.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's time and space. You want to alter time and space, then bring forth something that has never occurred to time and space.
Well, some would suggest there's nothing new under the sun. So,
Ah, there is.
not. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody
Mm,
invented electricity. Somebody all of these different inventions that we have on this planet, going in all kinds of different ways.
yeah.
They were,
Yeah. There's always something unique that we can bring and share and, you know,
yep.
bring to the world. And hopefully, if it helped, like I
But
said,
I'm just saying it's the key. Remember, the Christ said, "You must, we, all of us must become like children
sure.
to enter the kingdom." And to enter the kingdom of heaven that's that last layer. See, when I talked about the analogy of the kernel inside the shell, the seed inside the shell, well,
Mhm.
it's already starting to crack. You want to know what the clues are? Those points of light you see in the universe, those are the first crackings of the shell. It's cracking already. It's beginning to happen.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Very good.
yeah, very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. So have a fantastic night. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you too.
Have a blessed night, blessed evening, and I'll be in touch to set up our next show.
Okay, Ida.
Schedule.
It sounds good.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Shane. Have a great night.
Be blessed, sister.
Yes.
Yep. Bye-bye.
You as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.